Giuseppe Pagano was an Italian architect, notable for his involvement in the movement of rationalist architecture in Italy up to the end of the Second World War. He also designed exhibitions, furniture and interiors, and was an amateur photographer. Background: Giuseppe Pagano was born in Parenzo. After attending the Italian Language Lyceum in Trieste, he fled to join the Italian army at the onset of the First World War and adopted the Italian name of Pagano. He was twice wounded and twice captured, but managed to escape. In the years immediately following the war, Pagano was associated with nationalist and pre-fascist politics, and would be among the founders of the first fascist party of his hometown of Parenzo. Architecture. In 1924, Pagano graduated from the Politecnico of Turin, with a degree in architecture. In the late 1920s, he started work designing bridges, buildings, including the Gualino office building in Turin with Gino Levi Montalcini, and working on a number of pavilions exhibitions for the Turin Exposition of 1929. In 1931, he moved to Milan to work for the home and decoration magazine La Casa Bella, founded by Guido Marangoni in 1928. His philosophy. From the late 1920s, Pagano had adopted a rationalist position. Influenced by Futurism and the European avant-gardes, he became an architect caught between the theory and practice of Fascist Italy, whose approach advocated for a triad of unity, abstraction and coherence. He had a significant career as a writer and defender of rationalist architecture in the press, especially Casabella, whose name he soon changed from La Casa Bella when he became director of the magazine in 1933 along with Neapolitan art critic Edoardo Persico. Pagano and Persico revolutionized the graphic format and used their editorial position both to call to arms like-minded colleagues who believed in the power of architecture to transform modern life and to violently criticize those who reduced it to an aping of styles. He was involved in the Triennale of Milan in 1933, in which he collaborated in the design of the house with a steel structure. The 1934 Aeronautics Show, which he was responsible for designing, and the Triennale of 1936, which he directed together with the painter Mario Cerrone. All three expositions were held in architect Giovanni Muzzio's Palazzo dell'Arte in the Parco Sempione, which had been built for the Triennale, the first held in Milan. Photography. He was also an amateur photographer, an activity sparked by his desire to document Italy's vernacular tradition in architecture. He traveled Italy, hunting for images and creating careful compositions that expressed material qualities, gave snapshots of daily life and celebrated what he saw as a real Italy, not that of the tourist brochures and the propaganda machine. From then on, he often published his own photographs in Casabella, using them to strengthen his critiques of the architecture of the time, politics and art. Though initially an active member of the Italian Fascist Party, Pagano's architectural philosophy led him farther and farther from the official architects of the fascist regime, such that his Triennale, in effect, proposed an alternate architectural expression for fascism. His most significant contributions were an extension to the Palazzo dell'Arte designed for the 1933 Triennale by Milanese Novecento architect Giovanni Muzzio, the exhibition of vernacular architecture and exhibition of building materials. Pagano opposed representative architecture, of all types, whether modern or classical. He remained dubious of some groups of rationalists who made attempts to identify their architecture with Italian fascism, and to make it the official state architecture. In 1937 he worked closely with regime architect Marcello Piacentini on the interiors of the Italian pavilion for the Paris International Expo and also worked on the master plan for the ill-fated Rome Expo of 1942. That was never held. Protest and imprisonment. Pagano's position in the Fascist Party and prestige among architects as well as the diversity of cultural production under Benito Mussolini's fascism, allowed him to openly criticize some of the regime's constructions as bombastically rhetorical, from the pages of Casabala. In 1942, Pagano would leave the Scuola di Mistica and the Fascist Party. He was recaptured in September 1944 in Milan, imprisoned at Villa Triste, and tortured. Later he was transferred to the prison of San Vittore, then to Bolzano and then to Mauthausen, Melt, and back again to Mauthausen. Death. Pagano died of pneumonia in the infirmary of the Mauthausen concentration camp in Austria on the 22nd of April 1945. In one of his last letters to his friends he asked, "Remember me well, a man alive and full of goodwill." List of works. Architecture: Palazzo Gualino Office Building, Turin, 1928-29, for the financier Riccardo Gualino. Cis School, Turin, 1931. Villa Colli, Rivara. Physics Building, Città Universitaria, Rome, 1935. Boarding School Biella, 1936. Bocconi University, Milan, 1941. Urban Design Project for the Replanning and Urban Renewal of Via Roma, Turin, 1931. Master Plan of E42, 1937. Green Milan Project. Master Plan for Sempione Fiera Area, 1938. Exhibition and Pavilion Design Pavilions at Turin International Exposition, 1928. Ganscher Company, Festivals and Fashion, Hunting and Fishing, Navy and Air Force, Mines and Ceramics.